If you would like to have you a cedar cross, you can make your own without much trouble. And hopefully, when you get through watching this video, I'd like to see you make your own cross. For me, I started off inspecting the material that I had. It wasn't the best, but here it is. Then I took it over to the bandsaw and started cutting it into bore size. This was not always the easiest because the material was so rough. Afterwards, I took it over to the planer and started planing down to get it nice and smooth on both sides. You'll need to check the thickness of your material as you're planing it down, because this plays a part in how big a cross you're going to make. Because if it's too thick or too thin, it doesn't look right when you finish up a cross. But it's also up to your personal needs. Because I do know if you're putting it on a wall, you can go with thinner material. The width does affect the overall look of the cross. Now as we go along, I'm going to explain to you exactly what I mean by that. Because the cross, the typical cross, they take the height and half of that will be your cross beam. But if you get it too fat or too thin on the material, once you get the desired material thickness, you'll be able to take the height and the width and get them cut. You can easily cut them on a saw, or you could even cut them on a laser. This is one that I cut on a saw, and I have this one that I cut out on a laser. Same pattern, just a lot smaller. You also have the cutout that you could use for something, an outline, or a complete burnout. Any of these dimensions and stuff can be used in your project. I know you can use a 3D printer. You can even use a CNC machine to cut one out. This is all up to you. How you cut one, how you make it, what material you use, that's your choice. But now I'd like to show you how I come up with, I know that you can do this. Your material thickness is what I'm calling AA. The width of your material is A. Usually a lot of the crosses I've been making, A equals AA. So if you would take A times 16 will give you B. If you take B divided by 2, which will give you C for your cross. These are all dimensions you'll need to know to make the cross. General crosses, D is take B times 25% will give you about a quarter of your overall cross from the center to the top here. And the same thing you'll notice is from the center to your edge is the same dimension. A nice, sweet, centered area. My dogs are going crazy outside. And it'll give you the dimensions that makes up my cross. It doesn't matter how big or how small you apply these numbers. If you're not concerned about your material thickness, but you know how high you want it, I have even the formula for that. If you want B to equal 10 foot, of course it still goes the same thing. B divided by 2 will give you C for your width here. B divided by 16 will tell you what your material thickness will be. This will help you in designing a cross that looks sort of like this, regardless of the size. This way here you can make the cross simple and easy. Don't be afraid to experiment with your sizes here, because I know mine are a little bit on the long side here, but you can take off another 1/8 of a percentage of this and for your overall height and still look good. Especially if you're hanging on a wall, you might want to think about hanging the take an 1/8 off the length. I use percentages to make it easy for most people to understand. But this here has been on the screen long enough, you should be able to take a screenshot of it if you need to. You can change any dimension you want to change if you look at the formula here. So that you can make your cross, if you're doing it even on a CNC, you want to do it on a... So you should be able to take any of these dimensions and change the cross to meet your needs. Whatever this may be, for whatever kind of artwork you need to do. But you'll be able to build you a cross for what you need. With these numbers, it's not too hard. And I'd like to know what kind of cross you made using these numbers. Please give a comment in the bottom. If this information has been useful to you, please give me some thumbs up. Thank you.